Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast where forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. I'm Chris Daly, and today I'd like to welcome Kylar Merrell to the show, the creator of the new book, The Song Survives. Kylar, how's it going, man?
That's going pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Happy to have you on. I'm glad we can make this work out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. So usually on these things, I like to start things off with an icebreaker question. So today's icebreaker question is, what is the last thing you binged on Netflix?
Um, does it have to be Netflix?
It could be whatever.
Okay. Daredevil.
The new one?
The the old one. Well, we're like watching the new one as it comes, but we're binging the old one. So
Ah, nice.
yeah.
Very cool. I think for me, the last thing, if we count Netflix, the last thing other than pro wrestling, of course, is Bert Kreischer is actually coming here to my town this fall.
Okay.
My wife's never really seen any of his comedy, so
hmm
we went and binged all his specials. So that was kind of fun.
There you go.
He's hilarious. I'm really excited to see him in person.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be fun.
Other thing recently we binged was on HBO Max. We just finished Vice Principals for the first time.
Oh yeah,
That I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but
I have. Yeah,
that's
I've watched it twice now. I not that long ago. I watched it for a second time. So yeah, it's great.
it's so good. We've kind of been binging Righteous Gemstones as it comes out because we're
hmm
all caught up, and I've been wanting to try some of Danny McBride's other stuff. So we started with Vice Principals, and dude, that's so good.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I finished last when the last season of Righteous Gemstones came out. I finished Righteous Gemstones and then did Vice Principals and Eastbound and Down. So I just did a whole Danny McBride thing as well. So
That's awesome. I think we
yeah,
were gonna start Eastbound and Down, but then my wife decided she wanted to start The White Lotus.
yeah.
Have you seen that one yet?
I've seen the previous two. I haven't seen this season yet. I just
Yeah.
got HBO back after a while. So
Oh, nice. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't think it would be a show for me, but we've kind of started
Mhm.
getting our way through and it starts off kind of normal, then gradually gets more crazy
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's pretty entertaining. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I first. I was like, I don't really think it's gonna be. But then I was like, oh, this first season, I was like, oh shoot, this is good. And
Yeah,
yeah, second season was I didn't like the second season quite as much. It was still good, but not as good. And then the third season, I haven't seen it yet. So I'll binge. That'll probably be one of my next binges. So
nice. Yeah, I've heard the third season I think just finished and I heard it's super wild, so
yeah,
it's gonna be exciting.
for sure.
All right, man. So when you're not making comics, what other kind of things are you into?
Um, I my log line that I usually tell people is when I'm not making comics, I'm teaching or I'm making sure my cats don't kill me. But I like to cook. I like to make art in general. Lately, my big thing has been Dungeons and Dragons has been the
Nice.
big deal for me. I mean that's it's not the most recent thing, but that's another thing I binged relatively recently was Critical Role, which
Oh,
is a
nice.
lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the main thing that I'm into at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. So what you said you're a teacher. What grade do you teach?
second.
That's awesome. That
Yeah,
takes a lot to be
it's
able
fun.
to wrangle those little ones around because my youngest is in third grade, so I can definitely sympathize with having
Yeah.
to hang out with a bunch of kids that age.
Yeah, no, it's fun though. Like what I always tell people is it's there's not a lot of jobs where I get to play Legos. So
That's true.
it's pretty cool.
That's true. Very cool, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I like it.
And you mentioned your cats. How many cats do you have?
Two at the moment. But one of them's kind of a demon and the other one's just, lazy. So normal cat stuff.
Right on. Now with
Yeah.
D&D, are you getting into like playing D&D or are you just like reading up on the books?
Uh Playing most I mean I read like stuff in my spare time, which sounds incredibly nerdy. But
Hey,
I
you can't be on a nerdy podcast without talking about nerdy stuff, man.
That's true. No, I've been playing for about a year now,
Okay.
and then I've been kind of slowly DMing little things here and there, and then yeah, I like to prep stuff in my downtime. That's like I spend some of my time doing that when I'm not like doing comic stuff lately, or just sitting around my phone, like normal people stuff. But
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Playing, DMing, just reading, like I said, Critical Role, just listening to podcasts, things like that, other actual plays, stuff like that. So
That's awesome, man. I've kind of been in and out of D&D a little bit. I want to
mhm.
be more into it, but around here, most people want to play and nobody wants to DM, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
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 that's big time problem. So I kind of get my D&D fix by listening to real play podcasts like yourself.
yeah.
I think my favorite one is my brother, or the Adventure Zone. Those,
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't gotten
yeah,
into it, but I've heard of it.
there, probably, and that's the only one I've actually listened to. I've got a few others I'm subscribed to that I haven't started yet, but
Mm,
so I'm sure, like others, there are some seasons that are not as good as others, which is the
yeah.
case with the Adventure Zone for sure. But I listen to the guys who do that show do a whole bunch of other podcasts, and I listen to a few of their other podcasts. That's kind of what got me into this one because they do a
Hmm.
real play podcast with their dad, and they kind of they're all brothers, and they take turns each season being the DM. It's pretty
That's
entertaining.
nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's very cool. All right, man. So we're gonna take a trip now in the way back machine, and I want to know what it was that got you inspired to become, an artist in the first place.
Um, I've always like, I don't know, as long as I can remember, like I've wanted to make art or of some kind. That meaning like writing or something. I wanted to be a creative of some sort. Like I was the kid like in middle school that was like me and my friends would like go and like make movies and stuff like that. So I've always wanted to do something, but I got into comics like sometime in middle school. I don't really know. Like, I honestly don't have a specific thing that got me into like comics and stuff. I know that like for a long time, like seventh, eighth grade, I was big into I was like Marvel only. Um, and that was when I was like still just kind of drawing characters and stuff, but I didn't like under I hadn't read a lot of comics. I didn't really understand like the process of making comics or like wasn't deep into lore or anything. Around that time, I started to get like the I don't know if the Marvel encyclopedias, like the thick, like big square books.
Oh yeah.
So I had the Marvel and DC encyclopedias. So I would like just read through those and just like draw the characters that I saw and like so. I had like a deep bench of knowledge, but like I hadn't read a lot of comics until to make a long story short, I was in a place with a comic shop for the first time, or for the first extended period of time in 2011 when the New 52 came out, and so it was kind of the New 52 was the thing that like made me like start to appreciate comics and
Sure.
like really like get into like understanding them and getting into making them and understanding like the I don't know like it was Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato on The Flash that specifically got me into it. That was the first run I ever collected all 52 issues of. And it was just, I loved it. And something about that first issue, because I got four number one issues from the New 52. I got like Superman, Batman, Aquaman, and Flash. And Flash stuck with me. And something about the art just like, it spoke to me in a way that helped me understand that like comics didn't have to be like, I think I had an image in my head that comics either had to be like 60s Batman, like Bang Pow, like super campy, or they
Yeah.
had to be like super gritty 90s comics.
Sure.
And this was like, it was like, it's like each, the way Francis Manapul does it, it's like he uses, at least I think even if he does it digitally, he's kind of imitating gouache and like, so everything has like a very painted look to it. And I don't know, to me, it just made it seem more like art than just a comic. And so that issue specifically like made me want to be a comic writer. And then so I first I just wanted to be a writer, and then I gradually transitioned that into when I was in college. I was like, no, I want to like because I'd always liked to draw, but then I was like, oh no, I want to actually just start drawing the comics instead of like trying to hire somebody because I realized how hard it was going to be to hire someone,
Yeah.
how expensive it was going to be, and just that and I overcame a lot of like issues with like my own confidence in my art. And so I just kind of realized I was like, oh no, I can do this too. And so I started to draw, and that's kind of where I started to actually pursue making comics.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I can totally relate with, the having confidence in your work.
Hmm
I think that can translate to writing as well because I do a bit of writing myself, and
hmm
I know it was a really long time before I was comfortable enough like sharing my writing with other people just
hmm
because, I was just so afraid of what people would say, what people would think. Are they going to like it? Are they going to hate it? So
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard thing to get over, but once you kind of get over that hump, then it kind of makes things flow a lot better.
Yeah. The big thing for me was, and I was talking to someone else about this recently, was like that I had the realization that, like speaking about Francis Manipul's Flash, I was like, I saw someone who online who was like, I'm not a fan of his work. And I was just blown away by that. I was like, how can you not like his work? It's
Right?
amazing. And then I
Absolutely.
saw other people's artwork that I personally wasn't a fan of, that I saw other people like ranting and raving about. And I was like, okay, so something in that whole thing, I don't know how all that exactly happened, but like something in there kind of was just spoke to me in terms of like, no, there's like your work will someone will appreciate it.
Yeah,
It might not be everybody, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but someone out there will like it. And so
absolutely.
that was kind of the thought process that kind of got me to want to feel confident enough to expose my work to others.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for that a lot of creators should remember is that, what you're making, whether it's writing or art or whatever you're doing, it's not going to be for everybody, and there's no way
Yeah.
you can actually make it for everybody. So you just have to kind of make the art that you want to make or write the stuff you want to write and just put it out in the world so that way,
hmm
people can see it. Because like you said, there's definitely going to be someone out there that's going to appreciate it for sure.
Exactly.
And going back to, your intro into comic books, I also have the Marvel and DC, the big thick encyclopedias on my bookshelf right
hmm
now. Um, because I got those when I was trying to get myself back into comics. Because when I was growing up,
hmm
I kind of had the same intro where I didn't read a lot of comics, but I had my dad had those like who's who of the Marvel universe or whatever. He
hmm
had a whole bunch of those. So I would just sit and flip through those and find all these crazy characters and um, my dad had a bunch of comics and I was a kid and he was one of those collectors that, he didn't want little kids touching his books because, for
hmm
whatever reason. But as I got older, he finally started relenting a little bit and letting me read his stuff. And um, I also kind of got back into comics at the New 52 like you did because for a while, I did the thing where, I kind of wanted to have a girlfriend and, have a life. So I kind of ditched the nerdy stuff a little bit and kind of, put that away. Um, So when I got back into comics, New 52 is how it was for me. And it was with one of my three big favorites. It was Green Lantern because my three favorites as a
hmm
kid were Green Lantern, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange, which is kind of odd. Um, but yeah, New 52 Green Lantern got me back in super heavy. I picked up the whole line of the first little bit, then a few of the
Yeah.
spin-offs too. Because that New 52 was fantastic stuff, man.
hmm It was. It
Oh, so
and it
good.
gets slept on a lot because a lot of people that were previous fans of what came prior were upset that it was gone and that they had like rebooted everything.
Yeah.
But I think it gets a worse rap than it deserves, especially if you're someone like me or like you who's coming into it with a relatively, clean palette, like
Yeah.
with coming into it blank with a blank slate. That was my first exposure. So like I think that most people when they look at it, they look at it in terms of like, oh, this is like, especially Flash, they're like, oh, this isn't Wally West. This isn't what I grew up with. This is,
Yeah.
you just erased, 40 years of continuity at that point. And so it was just a different step. So I think it gets hated on a lot unnecessarily. So
Absolutely. Yeah, but nerds will be nerds and
yeah, for sure.
nerds are always angry about something for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I guess it just is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we are here today to talk about your book, The Song Survives. It's on Kickstarter right now. For those who don't know, we'll make sure that we get the link out. We'll share it out so everyone can get the word. We'll help spread the word out. And thank you again for the early copy of it. I got a chance to read it. It was a fantastic book. Um,
Thank you.
So for those out there who don't know anything about The Song Survives, why don't we take a minute to tell them what it's about?
The song Survives is about a bard traveling the desert who just telling the tales of heroes long forgotten, and he comes across a town that's in trouble, and he has to decide between living. Does he want to live a life of honor and like do the right thing, or does he want to let things pass by? And it's just a story. It's what I've been calling a sword western. Mostly a western, but instead of guns, it's got bows and arrows and swords. And it's just about this tragic figure and what he's been through and how those experiences shape him and the person that he is.
That's so cool. And I always think when people take, like a an established trope like Western or whatever, and they put a weird twist on it, like, swords and bows and arrows and stuff, that makes it
Mhm.
all, it's almost like a medieval Western. I think that's really
Mhm.
cool. That's super cool
Yeah.
way to do it. Um, so how did you come up with the idea? Did you pull like inspirations from anything in real life, or where did the ideas for it come from?
Um, I don't really. I know that at some point I had the idea, and I'd had the idea swimming around for a long time that it was like just this character that was a I wasn't into D&D at the time, but was essentially I was familiar enough with the concepts, and so like was a bard, was just like a kind of a traveling storyteller, singer person, but was secretly this really great badass fighter. And that's kind of just a concept that I carried around for a while. And then about a year and a half ago, I was working on an anthology that I was putting together that didn't end up coming to fruition. That was I needed a story that I could split into four small parts that could be told over multiple issues. And I was like, okay, well, let me. And I've always liked the concept of Western. I'm not a huge I like westerns. I'm not a huge western fan that like I have like a back catalog of like, oh, this is my favorite one. This is what
Yeah,
I like about. But I had a fascination with it. I
sure.
think just the aesthetic is cool.
Yeah,
And so like who doesn't like a cool, gunslinger? Like it's just
absolutely.
kind of bad. And
Yeah, yeah.
so I kind of wanted to combine all of that, and this was just the best character that fit. And he just kind of, and then like I said, that anthology didn't end up happening, and so I was like, well, I already have this idea that I've put a lot of effort into. I think I'd drawn the first few pages at that point, and so I just was like, and I was also at a very um uh I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, transitive moment in like my career making comics, and just that I was like I had had a few successes with creating different anthologies in the past. And then I had tried to branch out into publishing and things like that and publishing other people's work. And I didn't have very much success with that. And was a kind of a low point just in terms like creatively. And I just felt burnt out and just didn't feel like I was able to make what I wanted to make and do what I wanted to do. And so I just decided that I have this idea that I still want to make, and I wanted to make a project that was small, very short. It was just me. I didn't have to worry about an artist. I didn't have to worry about getting a colorist or anything like that. It was just going to be me, and I made the book, and that's pretty much where we're at now. Is just that I wanted it to be something that I could call my own, if nothing else, to prove to myself that I could make something and be successful in a public crowdfunding type space.
That's cool, man. Because sometimes that's the kind of motivation you need is to kind of just, can I
Mhm.
do it? Because you never
Yeah,
want to have that, regret of what if I could have, or what if I would have done
Mhm.
this. So that's really cool that you've made it this far. So that's a really cool thing.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely, man. So,
Just sorry, just
no, you're good.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna was to speak on like everything I had done before had either been just me just making it and putting it out there for free, or had been everything I crowdfunded had been like an anthology. And so like it was like bringing in all these audiences of all these other people who were in it. And I was like, and I don't know, I wanted to feel like it was my own, and not
Yeah.
like I was relying in a way on other people. And so I
Yeah.
think that was a big part of it, is that I wanted to feel like not just artistically could I do it, but like could I just I was like, I guess, yeah, it just came out of like a desire be to fight the odds, even though
Yeah.
I don't have any active like haters or anything,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like still wanted to prove to myself and to just the universe, I guess. Just that I was like, I can do it.
Yeah. And so now that you know you can be, you won't have to worry about the what if I could or do
Exactly.
can I do it? So that's cool that you're able to make it happen, man.
Yeah, and I see it as like a stepping stone to like potential other things. And like, okay, so
Absolutely.
I proved that I can start small. So like maybe I can try a little bit bigger next time.
Yeah.
And then eventually go on to the bigger things that I have in mind that I want to do that I just haven't been able to get to yet.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. And that's cool. If you keep that mindset, you're gonna get there for sure.
Mhm. Thank you.
All right, man. So, it's on Kickstarter right now. The Kickstarter for it ends April 27th. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Kickstarter and what kind of things we can get?
Okay. Um, yeah, so right now I'm just pulling it up real quick.
Sure.
Um, the Kickstarter is, oh, apparently I don't know how to do anything um, on Kickstarter. Yeah, we're currently sitting about 60% funded and we have about 3 weeks left, a
Nice.
little less than three. But yeah, no, this was kind of in line with what I was just saying in that this is like a chance for me to explore what I could do on my own. So I have obviously have, as far as rewards go, I have like printed digital copies, bundles, things like that. But I also have like I've never offered like more art based rewards in the past. It's always been like something that was easy, like a print or something that I could do easily. But like I have a blank sketch variant. So like I'm going to print a certain amount of copies that are just blank sketches and I'll do custom covers on whatever people want. And the only other thing that's like different that I've never done before is a cameo in the book. I'm giving people a chance to I'll draw, whoever into the book. And so, I mean, the campaign itself is really small. It's really, I'm not doing a ton. It's only $400 is all we needed just because, like I said, I wanted to make this very simple and easy to do. And so that's just going to cover, printing bare bones, like just enough copies for this campaign. And that's pretty much it. Maybe a couple extras to sell at a convention or something like that, but not a ton. So I just wanted to branch out and like give myself opportunities with the like those artistic tiers with the cameo and the sketch variants and things like that. But other than that, it's a pretty basic, kind of the same thing that most people do. I've got a few preview pages on there, and then everything else is just what people you can get copies of all my books, everything that I have printed. Plus, I'm gonna throw some other stuff in there, just like free digital comics, and then like I'm thinking about throwing a little. I made a little zine for an art market I'm going to do this weekend, so I might throw one
Nice.
of those in there for like physical backers. But
Very cool. Now, with the song Survives, are you planning on this being a one shot? Do you have, of different issues in mind or maybe other spin-off stories in mind for after this?
no, it's kind of one and done.
Okay.
I had this idea and I knew from the get-go, I knew how it ended. I knew where the story was going to go. I know where the character ends up. Um, and so I don't have any plans to bring it back. And to be honest, it's never really like obviously it's crossed my mind, but like it's never crossed my mind in a serious way. Like it's never
Gotcha.
like I've never had an idea of like, oh, that's what's going to happen. That's where he
Yeah.
can go next, or that's how I could change this. It's always been like, no, that's how the story is. It has the message that it has, and that's it. There hasn't, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of people kind of think like when a lot of people have like ideas for comics and things, they have larger ideas that need to be told over a large scale. And so I think, it's a little bit different to just have something that is, the story itself is only 18 pages. And so plus once we get like back matter and stuff, it'll be the printed copy will be about 22. So yeah, no, it's just one and done. This is it. This is all there is.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, again, the Kickstarter ends April 27th. Make sure you get in there and check it out before it's too late. And again, we'll make sure we spread the word, get the link out there, and share it around so everyone knows.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So after this Kickstarter, what are your plans for what's next? that you can talk about?
Um, though, I right now the next big thing that I have to work on is a a web comic. I say web comic. It's just a regular comic I just do digitally. So I don't know what technically it should be called, but um, called Outlaw Country. It's like my semi-inspired by country music, which is just my preferred genre. And it's it's just a crime modern western. So I guess it's kind of like two westerns that I've been kind of doing. It's more of a modern western that takes place in modern day, and it's three friends who come together after a tragic event to like take back in their eyes to take back the town from the this small town from the larger forces that have kind of overtaken it. And it's like I said, it's partly inspired by country music. It's also just inspired by my living around in small towns in Oklahoma and just like um seeing these towns and like what they've become and seeing and hearing at least about where they've come from. Like a lot of towns around here used to be big oil towns. And then once the oil field dies, the town starts to go. And then they're left with, like all this, like everywhere I've been, every small town that I've lived in, you can talk to so many people that are like, oh yeah, we used to have this, we used to have this and this and this and this and this. And then now it's just the same old, and I know this is a story that happens everywhere. It's not just specific to small towns in Oklahoma or even in probably in America, honestly, but
Sure.
just um just seeing that like get taken away and now it's just covered in McDonald's and Walmarts and all those types of things. And so that's the next thing. I've done 5 issues of it all digitally, and the sixth issue is the one that I'm currently working on. I'm like I've thumbnailed it and I've just now I'm starting to like I wouldn't even call it penciling it because it's like pre-penciling. I don't know. Like working digitally, I'm able to like not I don't quite do full pencils and inks. It's kind of very rough. So it's kind of like in a halfway stage where I'm working on that, and my plan is to put that out digitally as well, as a full trade, or put it out digitally and then put out the whole thing in print as a trade. And so I knew that to go back to like how this started very small. I don't want to do something very small right now. Is that I knew that that's going to be a little bit bigger, being basically a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And so that's just going to be a bigger project, bigger. It's going to have to be a bigger campaign to get it printed, more funds, things like that. And so that's kind of why I wanted to start off small because I know I have that coming down. I have um, a couple other things that I haven't really talked about yet that are just like I have an issue of something that's done that I feel like I needed to have something like The Song Survives under my belt before I could fully reach out and start like another mini series. And for one thing, I also just need to finish something. Like I finally wanted to finish this, and I finally want to finish Outlaw Country because I've been working on Outlaw Country since 2021.
Oh wow.
And so just slowly over time. And so I kind of want to finish those things and to um again prove to myself that I can. Which, I don't know if now is the time to do it financially, but who knows? We'll
Yeah,
see
no
what
kidding.
happens. Yeah, it's
For sure.
it's it doesn't really I don't think it's gonna affect, the song survives, but as far as other things coming down the way, like printing costs and things like that, who knows how all that's going to get affected. And so
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting situation, not just for me, but for anybody who's creating like this, just to see, how it goes and what people are able to continue making. So,
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, yeah, I'm super excited to see those two because I like you. I'm a fan of Western. I don't have like a bunch of Western stuff,
mhm.
but I definitely am a fan of the genre for sure. So I'm excited to check that new one out too.
Thank you.
All right, so before I let you go, I ask this of all my guests to share a bit of advice for other people, just some creative advice to share with the podcast world.
I think I kind of already said it is just to make whatever you want to make, because there's always going to be someone out there who isn't a fan of it, but there's also going to be people out there who do like it. And I think that any type of creativity that you're able to do is valuable, whether it's a podcast or YouTube or drawing or writing poetry, whatever it is that works for you, vlogging, movie making, directing. I don't know whatever it is that works for people. Like do that thing because it's I don't know. I think there's something that is there. I don't want to say therapeutic, but like there's something that is beneficial not just for you but for the world, I think,
Yeah.
when more people are doing what they want to do and are doing something that makes them happy, as opposed to doing the same things that like just sitting on your phone and just sitting around. And I say that, and I feel like it sounds preachy, but I do the exact same thing. I sit on my phone all the time. I
Yeah.
binge shows all the time, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I shouldn't, and so I'm trying to
Yeah.
work on that. But like, um, yeah, I just feel like the world is a better place when people are making stuff. And that doesn't even mean making it for others to see. It could just mean making it for yourself and your journal or in your sketchbook. But just make it and don't compare yourself to other people, because I know this is going long, but
Well, you're good.
I have the problem, or I had the problem of I started like filling out sketchbooks last year. I've never actually completed a sketchbook, and so I told myself I was going to finish one. And I've done three so far. I'm on my fourth one,
Nice.
and um, I when you look at videos on YouTube of sketchbook tours, they're all immaculate. They're all perfect. There's even when they mess something up, they still like cover it up in a way that looks aesthetically pleasing. And my sketchbooks don't look anything like that. And so that's kind of something else that I've had to tell myself over the last year or so. It's just like, no, just like it's fine if 4 pages in a row of your sketchbook are just you practicing like figures that don't even look like people,
Yeah.
or are just you drawing, inanimate objects. Like whatever it is, like just don't compare yourself to the same things. Like, I don't know, everything you see online is a facade, and it's something that people put on so they look a certain way.
Yeah.
And so just don't fall for that, because I know I've fallen for that plenty of times in my life, and
Oh, for
it's
sure.
not helpful.
It's super hard not to compare yourself to
Yeah. Oh
others.
no, for sure. I think it's natural, like it's a
Yeah.
natural thing that we always see what someone else is doing and we just assume that, oh, they're like there's some reason that we're not as good as them or something like that. But like I just don't it's not like just because someone's better than you doesn't mean you should stop,
Or
even
just
if they are
because
better than you.
someone's farther along than you, because if it's someone that's
Exactly.
doing
It's a
something
journey.
similar to you, yeah. And don't make yourself feel bad about it because someone's further along than you are on the same kind of journey. Just everyone gets
Mhm.
there a different way. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and that's good advice. Like, if there's something that you want in the world that you can't find it, you should always create it. And that's something that
Mhm.
its advice has been shared tons of times. And I think it's good
Mhm.
advice, because if you're looking for something you can't find it, you should just make that thing because chances are,
Mhm.
like we've already talked, there's gonna be someone else out there that's like, yep, this is exact. I didn't know I needed this until I see it
Yeah.
right now. And
Mhm.
you said it wasn't the right word, but I think therapeutic is definitely the word for it. When I was looking for, it's kind of the whole idea behind the Fueled by Weird show in the first place,
Mhm.
because when I was trying to figure out, what Fueled by Weird meant, really it's, all your hobbies, your interests, the stuff you're into. It's actually kind of like a way of self-care. If you indulge yourself in one of those hobbies, it makes you feel good about yourself, and then just makes everything else kind of click into place. It makes your attitude
Mhm.
good, kind of checks you everywhere else. So really, all your hobbies, your interests, all that stuff you're into, make up the person who you are. So that's essentially your hobbies are what fuel your weird. So
That's very true.
yeah, so that's I agree with you. I think it's very therapeutic if you take some time for you to indulge yourself in a hobby because it makes you feel good. You could have had like a really bad day at the day job. You come home,
Mhm.
you click on a video game, you binge a couple episodes of a show, you draw in your sketchbook, you write, a couple hundred words or whatever, and it's you just whatever it is you do, for
Mhm.
you, that's the stuff you should do. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, yeah. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It fuels who we are, and
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
think that's the most important thing. That's
Absolutely.
what I try to teach second graders, and we're adults and we're still trying to figure it out. So like, I mean,
Yeah,
it never ends.
for
The
sure.
journey of figuring out, what makes you happy and what you should do never ends. But yeah, I just think it's funny that there's a lot of things that I tell kids at work, and then I'm like, oh no, that's I could use that too.
Absolutely.
So
Because like, going back to, little kids, they make everything so easy. You just, like my daughter, she'll just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, do you want to be best friends?" Yeah, let's go
yeah.
hang out and do something. But it's like
Hmm.
it's just that easy. And when we're adults, we have to make it entirely complicated. Like I can't just walk over to that person that's doing the thing I like to do and, try to involve myself.
Hmm.
That's for whatever reason I can't do that. But there's no reason you
Yeah.
can't. Just go and do it.
Yeah.
Adults have to
Exactly.
make everything super hard, and then it just, I don't know. So yeah, I think it's good that we sometimes take that advice we give to kids because, you know, adults do overcomplicate things and there's no reason for it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. It's that frontal lobe that develops that gets in the way of the regular kid thinking. So.
yep, absolutely. All right, man, before I let you go, where can we keep up to date on stuff that's coming from you on the internet?
The best place is currently Blue Sky or Instagram at Foreign Press Comics. Anywhere, or you can just go to foreignpresscomics.com and subscribe to my newsletter. That's another good place where I put most I put everything that I'm doing in there. I'm not always on top of things about it, but my last one was just like a deep dive onto that book Outlaw Country that I mentioned, and it was just like the whole first issue and kind of analyzing how that came up. And so I don't know what the next one's going to be. I was planning to do the next issue of Outlaw Country, but we'll see. I might talk about this art market that I have to do, see how that goes. But yeah, that's the best place just to see. And I give away free comics when they're a lot. So just free digital things like I did a 6-page. I gave away the first comic I ever did like 5 years ago. Sent that out when I got to 100 subscribers a couple months ago. So yeah, I'm always doing stuff like that, giving discounts and things. So yeah, that's another good place to find me, follow me.
Right on. And Blue Sky is such an awesome place. I think that's
Yeah.
probably by far out of all the social medias, that's probably my favorite one. It's so
Oh,
nice
for sure.
there. So I think I'm definitely, I don't know if I follow you already, but I'm definitely gonna have to go fix that if I'm not, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Now for me, I first want to thank the band Polygon Horizon. Their song Pizza Force is the song we use for Fueled by Weird. Go check them out on Bandcamp. They're a fantastic band. You can find Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, as long as TikTok's there for. And you can shoot me an email at fueledbyweird@gmail.com. I'm also on Blue Sky, but I'm just on Blue Sky as myself, Chris Daly, so go hit me up there. Um, you can find Fueled by Weird on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. And Fueled by Weird, the Nerdy Man Room show with Hassel and Monster, Hassel's Review, and Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food make up the Stay Weird Network. We're a brand new podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet. You can check us out at Stay Weird Network on YouTube and at Stay Weird Network on Instagram. Shoot us an email at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com if you want to hit us up about something in the future. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, The Zone Collectibles in Tifton, Georgia, your one-stop shop for comics, collectibles, and so much more. Now, if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, life's too short to be normal, so stay weird. Kyler, thanks for joining me tonight, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.